Okay, I'm going to start this video and try to talk loudly. At least for me, it's loud, and I'm going to try to keep it the same all the way through. I don't know because my computer is seeming that it's not very loud. So I'm just making sure that you all can hear what we're saying. First off, I'd like to say that we did get back from Davao. We were in Davao, southern Philippines. We had a great time. There was 4 churches we went to see. There was 3 different school classrooms, or 2 classrooms, and then 2 school groups that we got a chance to see. And God just really gave me a whole bunch of stuff to share with them. And it was just great, awesome to see their faces light up because God gave me I ministered to about 200 kids. There's 8,000 in the school, so I could have stayed for the whole week and just tried to hit every single one of them. But I got to give a prophetic word to about 150 out of 200, and it was interesting. Just tell you some of the prophetic words because they were kind of interesting in how they happened. There was you'll have to excuse me, I got a runny nose. But there was 3 boys that were in the back row. And God said, bring them up front. So I brought them up front, and I sit there and I said, here's what I see. God's showing me you guys are like the 3 musketeers. And I saw swords in their hands. Well, I knew what the swords were. The swords were the Word of God. I said, God's going to cause you to use the Word of God to teach others. And, I just prophesied to them. Didn't know they were all 3 friends, close friends. Didn't know any of that. And then later found out not one of them was saved. But after talking to them, 2 of them gave their heart to the Lord. So, it's just incredible. God just tells me what to say, and He works it all out. I know that 3rd one's going to get saved too. Those other 2, they're not going to let him get away. Another one that I saw was, I was seeing this one girl, and the guy that I was with said, oh, just pray over her, because I just really want you to pray over her. He's got a prophetic gift as well. But it's just not, he's just learning to develop it. That's why he really insisted for me to pray over this girl. Well, what I saw in the natural, I just saw this. Sometimes you see things in the natural, sometimes in the spirit. And I just prayed and I asked God, what am I supposed to pray for this girl? Well, I saw in the natural, she had a piece of gold glitter right here, just one, and then one piece of gold glitter right here. And for some reason that stuck out to me. So I said, in my mind, I said, God, why is that sticking out to me? He said, what do you think about when you think about gold? I said, well, the streets of heaven are paved with gold. And he goes, yeah, so you think about heaven? I said, yeah, that's what I think about. He said, now look at the location of it. One of them here and one of them here. He said, tell her she's got heaven on her mind and she's getting ready to see God do things here on this earth. Going to see heaven and how it works and operates on this earth. She just began to break down and cry. She had already, I believe, she had already started seeing some of this stuff. That God was showing her some of this stuff. And so she just broke down and cried. A deep cry. Then there was this other girl. She came in, and the prophetic words I think they're so fun because then God gives me these weird little things, and I say, so what's that? And then He tells me. So this one girl comes in, and she was, the only thing I kept seeing, every time I looked at her, the song, everybody was kung fu fighting, it just kept going in my mind. I'm going, Lord, what are you doing to me? And so I asked the Lord, I said, what is it? So I just went up to her. I said, okay, I'm just going to do what you told me. He said, just tell her. And he said, God sees you as a kung fu fighter. And then as soon as I said that, he showed me another picture. I saw two people that were being oppressed by the enemy. Literal demons were just oppressing these two people that were sitting on the floor. She walked into the room and she literally kicked them off of them. I mean, she kicked them hard enough to where they hit themselves on this. The demons hit themselves on the ceiling. I mean, she was just kung fuing. And I'm going, God's going to use you to fight the enemy. Now, what I didn't know was she's the bully of the school. Now, she just got her actions directed in the wrong area. But when she gets it directed in the right area, Satan better get out of the way. We also had there was a problem with one of the churches, and one of the churches had a guy come in that was doing things and trying to steal people from the church so that he could start his own church. And he had done this before in another church, but he said he had apologized. Well, he didn't apologize. He didn't try to make it right. And then lo and behold, he moved to this other area where everybody was helping him, and now he's trying to do it again. So they were talking to all the leaders and said, we just need to not participate. And they talked. They kept talking and talking and talking. It really had nothing to do with me, so I went home. I went to my room and went to bed. I probably sat there for about an hour and a half, and then I went to my room and went to bed. When I came back, when I went to the bed, God said, I got a word for them. Go back and tell them. I said, okay. So I was exhausted, so I got up. I waited for about 30 minutes till it was appropriate time. They're all speaking in Tagalog. I have no idea what they're saying whatsoever. None. Which is great, because then if I say something, everybody goes, because God's really saying it, not me. And I just said, there's something that everybody needs to know. First off, this guy is going through a test. You don't fail God's test. You just keep going through them until you pass. There is no fail. It's just repita por favor, or repeat it again. And he's going through a test, and if you want to go through the same test he's going through, then go ahead. Go join his Bible study, and because you're going to go through the same test he is. But you don't have to. It's your choice. I said, and the last thing is, when this is done and this meeting is over, say no more about this guy, because you wouldn't want anyone talking about you if you were going through a test. You wouldn't want anybody putting you down or saying anything bad about you, so just leave him be. Let him do whatever he's going to do, and, God's teaching him something. And then I said, honey, let's go to bed. I'm tired. I went straight to bed, and come to find out the next morning, about 5-10 minutes after I left, they wrapped up the meeting. They'd been going on for about 4 hours. But 5-10 minutes after I left, they said, that's right. And then said, that's what we're going to do. And then they all went to bed. So, God's just awesome. He's just awesome. He does things that are just awesome. And I can't wait to see what he wants to do next. I've got a bad cold. That's why I keep pausing, because my sinuses are draining. And yet, I'm not cold or anything like that. It's just, Mila got a cold. I don't know where she got it, and she shared it with me. Well, anyway, some of the other things that happened were, I had a prophetic word for some of the pastors. And when I shared it with them, they just began to break down and cry. They knew that the Spirit was just all over them. But it's so great when you know nothing and you just have to depend on God to tell you everything. Because then, you know it's God, it's not you. What else? There was another girl that I prophesied over, and it was like God said she is God's gift to the Philippines. I've never heard anything like that from God before. So I shook her hand, I said, I'm honored to know you. And she was 16 years old. And I said, you have a destiny here in the Philippines that God has pre-planned for you. And I didn't know whether it was going to be, you know, religious or pastoral or if she was going to be like the president of the Philippines. I have no idea. But I knew she was going to be an important person. And then, what else was it? There was a few other things, but I'm trying to remember what they were. I'll do it on the next video.